Hey, Jose, good morning.
Hi, teacher. Good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Yeah, me too.
All right. Glad to hear that, Jose. So before we start, I would like to check really quick with you the the grades, please. So give me just 1 second. Should be this. So okay, let's go to Gradebook and we're in model C, right? Okay. So the first one you have this grade for the A1 or C1, sorry, C2, C3, C4, and a model test. All right. So overall, you finish most of the things, so that's okay. Um, all right. So this is the last time you're going to be using this platform because for the next two models, you are going to be using um, docs. So we're going to use docs. All right, so can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see.
All right, so let me explain a little bit of this new model. Um, so we are going to have activities I'm going to give you because most of these activities are related with creating things. We are going to have maybe an assignment or an exercise during the class, and then every two classes, I'm going to give you an assignment. All right, the assignment is going to be related with what we are doing. And this is the same percentage we had before. The activities you're going to do during class are going to have this percentage. And then you're going to have a 3 weekly essays. That means the things you're going to write, okay? But you're
Okay.
going to have three different ones, okay? And at the end, you're gonna have a final writing. This final writing is going to be about everything we've seen during the lesson. Okay, all the topics are going to be part of this final essay. Obviously, I'm going to be giving you the instructions each time. Okay, sorry. So,
Oh,
so in that way, I have no information to do your grading. Okay, so all the grading and everything, I'm going to be reviewing myself. All right. So, well, this we won't have this anything. Okay. So, any questions? Maybe related with you.
no, teacher, it's clear.
All right. So let me close something, please. Um, let's just start. We're going to start with punctuation rules. These rules are, as you know, related with uh, writing. No, while we're writing, and we have to pay attention to some of these rules, but they are important also to recognize it when we read. Okay, so for example, let's start with the first one, commas. No? No, this is a comma. And in English, usually it's going to indicate that we have more than one idea in a sentence and a statement, or maybe some characteristics related with the previous sentence. No? And we have some of the uses here, and then we have examples here. All right. So, could you help me reading this part and then the example, please?
Commas are used to separate three or more words, phrases, or clauses, sentences parts in a series. The entry include. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Don't worry. The entry includes chips, salsa, and beverage.
Thank you very much. So this is the example. No? Here is telling us three parts or more elements about something. They have to be separated by commas, right? And this is something different that doesn't happen in Spanish. Usually, even if we're going to write and or maybe a preposition, any preposition, the comma still is here, right? Chips, comma, salsa, comma. So first use, separate words. Okay, let's see the second one, please.
Okay. Commas are used after an introductory dependent clause, a group of words before the subject of a sentences that do not form a complete sentence. Since we will be returning late anyway, we stayed to watch the sunset.
All right. So the second use is to introduce an independent clause. So here is just giving a little bit information, no, and then comma, and then there is adding the actual idea, right? This is very common in English, so you can be more clear about something, no? And it could be also another clause that is giving more information, right? But the second use, no, is to use introductory dependent. Why dependent? Because this sentence is connected with the second sentence. No? That's why we use the comma here, right? This idea is about the second, no? And we just use the comma to separate these two ideas. But they are dependent to each other, right? So that will be the second use. Any questions so far?
No, not teacher.
All right, let's take a look to the third use, please.
Commas indicate that introductory words and phrases move from the end of the sentence. In the light of day, everything looked different.
So it's the same with introductory words, phrases, no? For example, it could say finally, and we have to put the comma. Or it could say on one hand, comma. On the other hand, comma. Usually this introductory word or connectors or linking words that are called are separated by this comma. All right, so it's to separate this word that is introducing not necessarily just the first idea of what could it be, I don't know, 3 4 sentences. Ideally it will be this introductory word is usually in the beginning of each paragraph, no? So third use, no? To separate these introductory word or phrases. It could be to start with or no, firstly, or no, but all these words are going to be separated. Okay, third use, please.
And commas are used between independent clause, complete sentences, joined by a coordinating conjunction, or, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so, so, or yet, so.
Example, please.
My family went to see the live taping of RuPaul's Drag Race, but I stayed at home with the flu.
Thank you very much. So here, same thing, right? They're giving an information, um, and then they're adding a little bit more, no? And they're using conjunction. No? So these conjunctions are these, and they are separating the idea before the conjunction, right? And obviously here, these two ideas can be independent from each other, right? They are, one thing is talking about, well, this show, and then it's saying, oh, but I stay home, no? But they are independent because they can be used separately, right? Um, you can just say I stay home with the flu and then continue adding some information, right? That's why it's independent. It's dependent when one is the whole idea is depending from the two sentences or more, right? But independent, it basically means like you can take it out and the idea will be the same, right? But with these words, with these conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so, we use them with them. We separate that or we introduce them with a comma. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see the third use, please.
Commas set off non-essential phrases or clause, phrases that can be removed without changing the sentence's overall meaning, or a positive words or phrases that rename a noun. My cousin, who recently joined the mafia, said it would be best if I escaped town for a while.
All right, great job. Thank you very much. So again, no commas. Generally speaking, they're trying to separate some ideas, some words, right? So it's the same thing. These non necessarily phrases or clauses, it's an extra information that we can have about whatever we're explaining, but we can remove them and the idea will be the same, right? So this idea, this whole idea, who recently joined the mafia, it's an extra information we're adding, and it has to have um, it has to be between commas, right? And it's not necessarily or non-essential because you can still say my cousin said it will be best if I skip town for a while, right? The idea is still the same, right? This is just um, maybe it's an idea to clarify a little bit more, no? The whole idea. But if you need to do this at some point, we just use commas to add this, no? But it has to be between two commas on the side. No? All right, so that will be the third use of commas. Any questions so far, Jose?
No, teacher, no.
All right.
But
So
it's
we have,
yeah, I don't
yes.
know if, what do you think about, but it's a little difficult topic. Uh, in Spanish, it's difficult to learn to use the commas.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, overall, this is just um, is well. Overall, you have to understand that commas are mostly used to separate ideas.
Excellent.
Obviously, here in some situations, we just use the comma
Okay, excellent. But
overall.
one difference with the Spanish is the first is the first one
Yes.
because we don't use commas when we are gonna use and.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's correct. But overall, the same rules we have in Spanish are the same when we see commas. Um, Obviously, there is a whole structure while we write in English, and the idea is that we are very organized when we write. That's why we always use either conjunctions or connectors um, while we are explaining something. That's one of the most important things English speakers do when they write. Um, so maybe we can check this exercise really quick. Mm, it's a very easy exercise, but you will see it will make more sense for you. Okay, so I'm going to share this exercise with you. And really quick, we can try to put the commas where they belong. And all right, you have the link on the chat. Please, if you could copy it or well, click on it and then share your screen just to remember a little bit. No, because like I mentioned, um, the rules are most of the same. mm, To separate ideas or to introduce some introductory phrases or separate ideas of the same topic or sentences.
dog, dogs, cats, and fish make good pets. No?
Okay, so where do you think is the command?
Ah, maybe like this.
All right. Okay, pretty good. Good job. Let's do the next.
I saw lizards, birds, and frogs on my walk. I saw I saw Especially subverse and front. Oh my word. I don't know. It's King Mandy and Sarah. Mm, also lizards, birds. Mhm. King Mandy, Sarah, and I. King Monday, and I went. Sorry.
That's it.
Ah. Sorry, teacher.
Sorry.
Young made fun being there are swings, slides.
Okay.
No,
All right. It's good. The only one thing, number 3 Kim. It's 3 different people, right? Kim,
ah,
Mandy, Coleman, I'm sorry. And in number 5, the swings, sides, and bread.
yes, the
Lights and bars.
I, I, I,
At the park is missing. No?
I think that was a first and last name, Kim Mandy.
Yeah, yes. It's 2 different people.
Sorry.
Yeah. And in the last one, there are swings, comma, sides, slides, sorry, comma, and bread. Uh, it was at the park. No? No? You see at the end? It was at the park. You write for dinner. You see the mistake? In number
What
5?
the number 5?
Yes.
Wait.
It was at the park, and you have for dinner.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I I know what happened.
No problem. Okay, so let's take a look to the next one. The next uh, punctuation rule. Can you see my screen?
I will stop sharing.
All right, great. So the next one is quotation marks. Quotation marks are used when we we are citing someone's exact words. So we use these quotes to describe something it was said. For example, my my teacher said, quotation mark, stay on your seat, quotation, right? Usually it's used for that. Generally speaking, is to quote something that use the exact words of something. So could you read the first use, please, and then the example?
Quotation marks enclose the exact word of a person.
Mhm.
Sia said, I'm gonna swim from the chandelier.
Mhm. So the, the chandelier.
Chandelier.
So, so these quotation marks are showing these exact words, right? And pay attention here. No, Sia said, comma, I'm going, but this is part of a song, if you recognize it. And we have quotation and then period at the end. Right? Usually it's like that with when we are finishing talking. We're gonna see period too, but at the end, always the period. Okay. And let's see the second use, please. Or it's not a use, but it's a explanation of when we don't use.
Okay. Do not don't use quotation marks around a paraphrase or summary.
Excellent.
Sia said,
Sorry.
Sia said she intended the pendulate from a chandelier.
Excellent. So here is talking about the same idea, right? But
Yeah.
here is not using the exact words. When we use the exact words, we have to use quotation marks. But if you are just explaining what someone said, we don't use it. We don't use quotation marks.
Excellent.
And number 3, please.
Quotation marks set off the titles of smaller words within larger words. This can vary between different citation styles, so double check your style guide for accuracy.
Mhm. Thank you.
Short story, poem, article, book of stories, chapter, book of poetry, episode, series, article, magazine, journal, song, album.
Excellent. So this is part of this book or this magazine, no, this series, this album. So we use this quotation mark just to make a difference between um, about something specific that could be part of something else. So for example, there are I don't know how many books for Harry Potter, no? But when you're going to write the exact name of the book, and you use quotation marks, right? Or maybe the um, I don't know, any book that you can imagine, no? You put it between quotation marks, and then you can add it's part of what, no? And that's another use for quotation. All right. Any questions so far?
No, teacher.
All right. And let's take a look to the fourth use.
Place periods of and commas inside quotation marks. Pope Francis said, I'll have extra mayonnaise on that.
All right. So the commas, it's like it's introducing the quotation mark, right? And then at the end of the quotation mark, I put the period when we finish the idea, right? And then we have the quotation. the period is inside of the quotation because it's implying no, this was said, just that. No? In the period, it's saying okay, no more than that. It's just this idea. That this could also be very long, right? It's just explain the exact words, right? But don't forget to put the commas and quotation marks. Sorry, don't forget to introduce the quotation marks with a comma and mention that when it's over, whatever you're saying, no, or quoting, no, to put the quote. And last one, please.
Place semicolons and colons outside quotation marks. I recommended the words. It comes with chicharron. With
Yeah.
chicharron.
Yeah. So obviously here is talking about something specific, right? Like mentioned here, it could be a title, it could be something, no, that it's very specific. No, we use the quotes. No, I recommend this place or this book or whatever, and then colons, semicolons. No, it goes outside of the quotation mark, right? No, this is colon, semicolon. This is semicolon, right? So this goes outside of the quotation mark. Inside of the quotation mark, you might have a comma here, that's all, and a period. But whatever extra, it's gonna go outside of the quotation. All right. So, any questions until here?
No, teacher, everything clear.
All right. So this one was a little bit easy, so we're not going to practice this one. Let's continue. Parentheses. So here are different many uses in English. We might know them or no, even in Spanish. But we usually it's used to add an extra information that is non-essential. Non-essential, it means that we don't need to put it there, this extra information. We just put it so our reader has this extra clarification about something, okay? But it's not necessarily. No? While we read it, even while we read it, we don't need to read that part, right? So, because it's extra. All right, so let's take a look to these 4 uses, please. Let's read it first.
Parentheses set off addition of expressions that are not necessary to the sentences. They tend to emphasize what they set off. They are often seen as less academic in tone. We visit several European countries, England, France, Spain, on our trip last year.
Excellent, thank you very much. So, no, is
European.
So it's adding an extra information. No, it's saying we visit several European countries, and just for us to understand which countries, they use the parentheses and they go England, France, Spain, and then they close it.
Our trip.
To add this extra information.
Perfect.
Let's see the next one. Oh, sorry. By the way, this is less academic. No, in academic, we should always be very polite, and but this is not seen very. It's not proper to write an academic topic. No, you to use the parentheses. Okay. Let's see the next second use, please.
Perfect. Parentheses can enclose figures in a sentence's note. Use of numbers like this in sentences may vary for different citation styles. Double check citation guidelines. Grades will be based on 1 participation, 2 in-class reading, and 3 exams.
Mhm. So usually here, this citation, it's because at some point you can give more information about this. So later on, you can start explaining. No, one, participation. Participation includes being respectful, raising your hand before you speak, blah blah blah. Right? This means that later on you're going to give, or somewhere in your writing, there is going to be some information about this. Mm. In other paragraph below, you can have a subtitle, no? In class writing, and then you add information. In class writing include doing this, doing that, right? So usually this is the numbers between parentheses include that extra information you will give later on. Any questions so far, Jose?
No, teacher.
So first use expression that are not necessarily. And number two, um, a citation, right? Because later on you can add more information about whatever you're listing here. One, two, or A, B. Next one, use number three, please.
When the group inside the parenthesis forms a complete sentence, but is inserted inside a larger sentence, no period is needed. However, if a question mark or exclamation point is needed, it should be included. The snow. Do you remember what snow feels like? Was falling heavily.
All right. So this also, like we mentioned here, no, it's used to introduce something we need or we want to explain, right? So here is the same, no? Um, they're adding this extra, it could be not phrase or something they need to maybe um, the reader understand or reflect on, right? And usually we don't use other um, marks inside, but if you need to, you can put it there. No, but however, remember, this is not very academic. So usually this could be something you use maybe on a novel or maybe, I don't know, a summary, no? But it's not very academic. No? The use of this example, for example, no, do you remember what no feels like? It's not that academic. No? It's seen as less academic. All right. Any questions, Jose?
No, teacher.
All right.
Relative.
And let's see that for you.
When parentheses are used to enclose an independent sentence, the punctuation belongs inside the parentheses. I'm not looking forward to presenting to the class on Monday. My childhood stage fright has never really left me. I hope I can get it over with quickly. Get it over.
Then,
I hope I can get it quickly.
great. So it's the same logic, right? We are introducing or we're enclosing this independent sentence. This could also be used with commas, right? However,
Right.
this part maybe it's a little bit more like it's totally out of the idea, right? It's not just saying, oh, we visit these countries, England, France, Spain. No. Here is more like a conversation it's having. Not usually this seems more like a novel, right? Seems more like a story, no? It's not that academic. And obviously they need the reader to have this sort of reflect or imagine things. That's why they're adding this extra information, no? For the reader. but it's not very academic. No. All right. So that's quotation marks. I'm not sure if you have any questions about this topic.
No.
Okay. All right. So apostrophes. As you remember, I always told you we always use apostrophes in informal conversation, right? We don't just say I will. No, we should say I'll. Or instead of saying she is, no, we should say she's. She's at work. Or I'm tired instead of saying I am tired, right? So with obviously all of these rules are related with academic um, writing, right? These are very important rules for academic writing. That means an essay, a paper, you know, maybe a report, but something very academic. Um, so apostrophes, like generally speaking, are are not used in academic um, topic unless in certain specific situations. But overall, we don't use uh, these these contractions, no, in academic writing. Okay, just in a specific situation. So let's see the first use of apostrophes.
To show possession, add an apostrophe and as is right that and s too.
The
An
S.
s. Okay. To show possession, add an apostrophe and an s to singular nouns or indefinite pronouns that end in one or body. In one or body. Jenny's book, anyone's guess, somebody's laptop, the world's tempo. Ah, okay.
So this is just possession, right?
Possession, yeah.
So this is the first use that it's allowed to be present in an academic um, writing. Okay, so
Okay,
possession. Let's see the next one, please.
exactly. Add only an apostrophe of plural possessive nouns ending in s. Remember that the apostrophe placement depends on whether there is more than one noun. Student's books, one student. Student's books, more than one student. Yeah. What is the difference exactly? Students, student books. Ah, okay. The apostrophe come after or before. Yes. Students' books, one student. Students' books, more than one student.
Mhm.
Okay.
For singular, we say, for example, Jenny. It's one person, right? Jenny's book.
Yeah.
But if it's a lot of people, the apostrophe goes at the end of the singular, right? Parents, and then the apostrophe. But we don't add the S anymore. Right? Or musicians, apostrophe. No? The instruments belong to the musicians, plural, right? Or the car belongs to the parents, no? To both of the parents. So again, possession for singular and plural nouns. No? Let's see the second use.
Don't use an apostrophe with possessive personal pronouns. Yours, his, hers, ours, theirs, whose, its. Don't use an apostrophe with possessive personal.
Yeah,
Okay, because sim,
yeah, because
simplified.
we just don't. No, it's
Yeah, they are possessive actually.
um, Yeah, like I mentioned, no, the apostrophes are seen as very informal, and we're seeing rules for a formal document for writing, for academic writing, no? And because this is formal, we don't use apostrophes, no? Let's take a look to the next one, please.
Apostrophes are also used in contraction. Two words which have been combined into one to mark where the missing letter or letter will be.
Mhm.
I
So,
am, cannot, can't, they are, they, uh, they are, there.
mhm.
I have, I've, let us, let's, you are, your.
However, in academic writing, we don't use the contraction. We use the separate words. I am, I have,
In
cannot.
academic.
Yes, in academic writing, we don't use contractions. Hmm? So
Excellent.
that's important to notice because um, when we are writing something, everything it's great. No, if you forgot a comma, no, you lose a point. Or if you forgot a period, uppercase word, not anything, it's great. So that's why here, no, it lower it lowers our our grade for the writing, right? Because it has rules, no? Rules that we have to follow. All right. So and let's take a look to the last one for today's class. Colon and semicolon. Let's take a look to colon. Um, can you see my screen? Sorry.
Yes.
All right, great. So let's take a look. So overall, columns are follow independent clauses, and they're gonna try to call attention for information that comes after. All right, so it's these 2 points, right? This is a column um, because it's going to start listing, I don't know, some elements that are important to mention about what we were talking before. So, like in the previous example, I've traveled to several countries in Europe. They could have just say no colon and then mention Spain, France, and whatever, right? And
Right.
this is just to use to introduce these some elements that we need. Okay, so let's see the first use, please.
Columns come after the independent clause, complete sentence,
Mhm.
and before the word, phrase, sentences, quotation, or list they are introducing.
This example.
Okay. Latterly, I have had only one thing on my mind, graduation.
Mhm.
Latterly, I have had one thing on my mind, graduation from college. Latterly, I have had only one thing on my mind. I can't wait to graduate. Latterly, I have had several things on my mind, papers, grades, and finals.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So here are just basically no introducing something. Graduation and from college, paper grades and finals. No, so um, these are important. No, to introduce something. And let's see the second use, please.
Never use a column after a verb that directly introduces a list. Never use a column after a verb that directly introduces a list. Okay, the things on my mind are papers, grades, and finals. But when, okay, I understand what I'm talking about. If have R, I don't have to use columns.
Exactly.
The things on my mind are the following, okay? Papers, grades, and finals. The things on my mind are papers, grades, and finals. Okay, yeah. It's clear, teacher.
All right. So just that, no? When the verb is already introducing what you're listing, you don't need to use the.
I don't know if in Spanish is the same because you can put song and columns.
Yes, exactly. No,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different here because this is obvious, right?
Yes,
What
it's
we are
obvious.
telling
Yeah,
just because of that.
yeah,
All right,
yeah. English is more practice.
right? It's definitely um,
Yeah,
simpler in some ways. I think the
but
structure is a little bit more organized.
yeah,
And by the way, this word is lately.
lately,
Lately, yes, correct.
lately. I said lately,
No worries.
lately,
Common,
lately.
common mistake. All right, and now let's see semicolons. And let's take a look to this one, please. Okay, so semicolons are used to separate different clauses or phrases um, that are overall about the same topic, but we need to make we need to explain the reader that they are a part of the same thing, but they are different ideas. So semicolon is this. No? This is semicolon. Okay, let's read the first use.
Uh, Semicolons separate clauses or phrases that are related at their precise equal emphasis. Semicolons join to independent clause complete sentences that are closely related if no coordinated conjunction is used.
Mhm.
Megan said she was tired. She has stayed up late cutting giraffe-shaped hollows, holes out of foreign newspapers.
Mhm. So here there is no conjunction. There is no and, but, or, no, there is no conjunction. So the semicolon is acting as a, um, a conjunction, right? Because it could say, oh, Megan said she was tired and she had stay up late cutting, right? So the semicolon is that just using it's being used as that, no, a conjunction as a conjunction. Let's see the second use, please.
Semicolons signal to a reader that the information in both sentences should be taken together.
Mhm.
We were planning to go get coffee. However, he had to cancel.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Also, it's is definitely giving some guidance while we read. No, it's saying,
Yeah.
oh, this is not very common, honestly, to use. No, but it's saying, okay, the next sentence we're using is part of this. But again, this is not very common to use in English. All right, this is one use, but it's not very common. Okay, but it's important to recognize it too. No? It's just telling us, okay, this next sentence is part of this one. All right. Um, and the last use, please.
Semicolons help avoid confusion between items in lists where there are already commas.
Mhm.
He traveled to Sao Paulo, Brazil, Seoul, South Korea, and Nairobi, Kenya.
Mhm. Okay, great. So when you are listing several things in the same statement, but they are in different categories maybe, or different inside groups, we use the semicolon to separate that. No, because Sao Paulo, Brazil, they go together. No? Then Seoul, South Korea, and then we're separating this from the other one too. Nairobi, Kenya, right? This is just saying, okay, this doesn't have anything to do with this or this, right? So that's the semicolon. Okay, so we're going to stop here. And depending how difficult something is to understand, I'm gonna try to be introducing some exercises, some short exercises. But overall, I'm going to introduce our writing tomorrow when we finish all these punctuation rules. All right, and you're gonna have to write something, and I'm going to give you some instructions to do it. Okay?
Excellent, teacher.
So that will be it for today's class, Jose. You did very good. Let me run today's polls, please. All right. Can
Thank
you see it? Oh, sorry. I know. I think I finished it. Let me see if I can relaunch it. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Okay, Jose, thank you very much. So have a great day. And I'm going to explain some rules about this first writing tomorrow. All right, so see you tomorrow at the same time.
See you, teacher. Have a great day. Thank you
too.
so much.
Bye. You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.